Hi, mamas. Welcome back to Short Parenting. I am Sammy Bell. If you are new here, be sure to hit the subscribe button down below so that you can see new videos every Thursday. And if you are already part of the Short Parenting family, thank you so much for coming back. Today, we are talking about stranger danger versus tricky people. And both philosophies have the same intent, which is, of course, to keep our kids safe. The difference is that one teaches children that all strangers are dangerous, hence the name, stranger danger, and might unintentionally cause kids extra anxiety and cause us extra anxiety as parents, and not necessarily be all that accurate. It might end up becoming confusing to our kids, and I'll get to that in just a second. Whereas the other option, tricky people, helps kids to really recognize the behaviors to watch out for rather than just being afraid of everyone. So back to stranger danger for just a moment. Like I said, the intent is fantastic. Of course, we want to keep our kids safe, always, forever. And we thought by saying to never talk to strangers that would keep them safe. There's a few challenges with this approach. One is that most kidnappings actually are done by people who the child knows. So it's not really a bunch of creepy strangers that are out there taking children for the most part. So it doesn't address the biggest risk, right? And kidnapping isn't the only thing that happens to children, unfortunately. And even more of those kinds of cases where children are harmed, it's by somebody that they know, either a family member, a friend of the family, something like that. So those aren't strangers. So it doesn't actually serve the purpose that it was intended to serve. In our current media state, we hear a lot about any kidnapping. And we should. It helps us to find children safe. It's great that we have that ability to disseminate information very far, very wide, very quickly. However, it's caused a lot of parents to think that there's a lot more danger these days when there really isn't. The time that we are living in the United States is actually one of the safest times that we've ever had. And so with that in mind, then how do we protect our kids? Right? We care, we want to keep them safe. We want them to feel safe too. If they are going around looking at every person they don't know, thinking they're a threat and a danger, that doesn't feel very safe. And more than feeling safe, we really want them to be safe. So the way that we can best keep our kids safe is by teaching them the concept of tricky people. So tricky people are people who are trying to trick you. And it's such an easy concept for kids to grasp. There's three main rules. Number one, adults do not ask children for help. If an adult says they need your help finding their puppy or they need your help with something in their car, that's a tricky person trick. They don't need to ask you for help. Adults ask adults for help. You say, no, I'm going to get my mom, and you run to go get your mom or dad. If an adult tries to make big promises for no reason, I'll give you a bike, I'll give you your favorite candy, I'll give you a new video game, that's a tricky person trick. And it just doesn't make sense. If you think, I wonder why they do that, that doesn't make any sense, then that's probably a tricky person trick. And you say, no, I'm going to go tell my mom. And you run and go tell your mom and dad. And the third thing is that tricky people will ask kids to keep secrets. Nobody should ask a kid to keep a secret from their mom or their dad. Now, in our family, we do have surprises. Surprises are okay because either mom or dad know about the surprise. So maybe dad will work with the kids on a birthday surprise for mom, or vice versa. And there's a time very soon where we will tell the person about the surprise to make them happy. So we're keeping something quiet for a short period of time with the intention of telling them to make them happy. Those are how we distinguish between secrets and surprises. Secrets, on the other hand, we just don't have those in our family. And I have a habit of using that word even in a silly way. I'll say, let me tell you a secret. And my 6-year-old will tell me, we don't have secrets, Mom. Absolutely right. So adults who ask children to keep secrets from their parents, those adults are using a tricky person trick. They are trying to trick you, and you can't trust those people. So what if there's an adult who you see who does not have any of these tricky people tricks up their sleeves? They're probably just a normal, nice, happy person just like you. And that includes our neighbors. That includes the grocery store cashier. That includes the other moms at the park. That includes, the teller at the bank and the librarian at the library. There's tons of strangers out there who are really great, wonderful people. And we don't have to be afraid of all of them. We have to be aware of the tricks the tricky people use and have an immediate response, an immediate action. No, I'm getting my mom. And you turn around and run. And it's so surprising to tricky people when kids do this because they are trying to get away with their tricks. They don't want you to tell mom because they know they'll be in trouble. So they usually run away too. If you can use that response and you can say, nope, I'm getting my mom, and you run away, chances are that tricky person will book it. And then your mom will be there to help you, or your dad will be there to help you. So that's the best approach that I've found. It keeps things very straightforward and easy to understand for kids, and it keeps them safe, which is the best part. Another thing that we want to be aware of is when we are focused too much on the stranger concept, we leave this big gap because all the person has to do is find out our kid's name or tell them their name. And then they get to say, well, I'm not a stranger. See, I told you my name's John. You know me now. Now I'm John. And your kid's going, well, yeah, I guess now I do know you are Johnson, and you're not a stranger, and I can let you give me a ride home. And it can be confusing for kids. They will say something like, oh, that's okay. I know your dad, Tim. And the kid's like, oh, yeah, that is my dad's name. So they must be telling the truth. I mean, kids are trusting creatures, and it's a wonderful thing. And yet we want to arm them with the tools they can use to protect themselves. So in our family, there are very, 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 very few people my children would ever go with. And the list includes, in total sum, my husband's parents, my mom, at the end. My best friend, if I was back in Vegas. But other than that, no. And here's the thing to explain to kids. An honest person is not going to have a problem with your hesitation, with you wanting to be safe. They're going to think that's a great idea. They're going to feel very comfortable with you questioning them. They're not going to get mad. They're not going to get offended. They're not going to try to push you. No, an honest person is going to say, you are a smart kid. I am glad that you are aware like that. And if by some crazy circumstance, there comes a time where somebody maybe has to pick you up from school different than normal, they should talk to the school. Your teacher should be also involved in that conversation. I talked to your mom. This is who is supposed to pick you up. You should know that person. And you should maybe even go as far with slightly older kids as having some sort of password for your family. I've never needed to use it, but I think if my kids were in school, I might, just so they feel a little bit more secure. So they can say, well, then what's the family password? And somebody I sent would know that family password, right? And somebody I didn't send wouldn't, but at any time, your kid should have the right to say, I'm going to call my mom. Even if that means going back into the school and using the office phone, going and telling the office manager, hey, this guy, whoever, my tennis coach is trying to pick me up from school, but I'm not really supposed to go home with anybody. Can we call my mom and make sure that's okay? That's smart. That's good problem solving. And if you're worried about things like this, do some role play. Get out some toys and dolls and practice tricky people scenarios. And when you do that with them, you be the tricky person and let them make the decisions. and vice versa, like switch roles. So let them be the tricky person and try to convince you, and you be the kid and show them what to do. And just know that chances are you will never, ever need this information. You'll never need to use it. But just in case, it's really, really useful information to have. It's useful to have these conversations when you're going on a walk, when you're, perusing the aisles of the grocery store. You can smile to somebody, you can say hi to the sweet old lady in aisle 12. You don't have to be afraid. You have to be aware. You have to know what tricks tricky people might use and what to do if somebody does try to use those tricks. And as long as you've had those conversations, you don't have to be afraid of every stranger. The majority of people out there are kind, loving humans. They are not out to do anything nefarious. They're just wanting to go about their lives, same as you, just like you would not go out and attack somebody's child. They wouldn't either. We don't have to be afraid of the world. We have to be aware. We have to be observant. We have to be proactive and have these tough conversations in a playful way so they really sink in with our kids. If we've done that, we've done the best that we can do. And we just go forward with our day, assuming the best, enjoying our lives, and hoping that we never actually have to use the tricky people tools at all. So I hope that helps. I hope that answers some questions about stranger danger versus tricky people. If you have any other questions, then please go ahead and send me a message at sammy@sureparenting.com. You can send me an email. You can find me on Facebook, Sure Parenting. You can always schedule a free call, bit.ly/callsammy. The link is always below. And I'm happy to help. So I will talk to you guys next week. If you have had any circumstances where you have used some of these tricky people tricks and information, please share your story. We would love to hear how these tips have helped your family. So start the conversation below, and I will talk to you there. Bye, guys.